Hello, this is Donna, psychic medium and direct messenger for spirit. The afterlife is actually all around us. The messages from our loved ones, spirit guides, and pieces of our soul are waiting to be heard. If this is your first episode, welcome. I invite you to go back and listen to previous episodes where I link my guest to their loved one or to a piece of their soul's existence in the afterlife. Thank you for listening and for sharing. Please consider leaving a review. Enjoy and stay tuned for more. I have a feeling there will be much more from the afterlife. Will you state your first name and the phrase, "It's a beautiful day"?
Jan, it's a beautiful day.
Fabulous. You can open your eyes now. For me, state the first name of the loved one that you'd like to connect with.
Thomas.
Thomas had a outgoing personality, maybe larger than life. When he entered a room, and you knew he was there. I love his "here I am, Donna" persona right now. Would that make sense, Jan?
Yes.
And all of those things I said make sense? He was that sort of person.
Yes, he was that person that you could not miss when he walked into a room.
Perfect. Thank you. I don't see he crossed of older age, elderly, I would say, over the age of 85. Does that resonate?
Yes.
And I feel that he was healthier. He certainly had some health challenges, but he wasn't sick, meaning he wasn't in a hospital. He wasn't sick for a long time. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. And when I say health challenges, was he a little overweight?
Yes, slightly.
Ben, when I say that, that would have been something that was causing other things to happen in his body. Otherwise, spirit wouldn't have showed me that. Do you understand?
Not that I'm aware of, that there were complications from that.
Okay, not that you're aware of. So when I see that, that is my question to spirit. And they're telling me that there was some underlying things. Now, those things could have been emotional or physical regarding his appearance. Would that make more sense?
Maybe.
I see he's got this outward appearance. We've discussed that. But would he have been someone that inwardly he held things close to himself? He might have had worthiness issues.
Yes.
So you see where I'm going with that, why he showed me, oh, here I am, this vibrant personality. But then I felt there was something inside of him that didn't correlate, didn't jive with his outer. So we're agreeing with that before I go forward. Yes?
Yes, that was primarily more at the end that was the issue.
I understand. Thank you. He's telling me, I've been here, I've always been here, and I will always be here. Is that something, Jan, that you question about him?
No.
So he's reaffirming, yes, I will always be here. Is it something you talked about before he crossed? His ability to communicate or be here for you? Did he say, I'm always here for you? Was that something? I'm feeling it's something more that he would say. Is that something you guys maybe talked about? Maybe you questions, oh, you're not here for me, but he's saying, I'm always here for you.
Not really. Are you meaning spiritually or in the physical?
I don't know that yet.
Okay.
Because this is what he's bringing in to this right now. So my next question is, think bigger picture. And was this something the way he was in the physical world, saying to people, I'm always going to be there for you?
Yes.
There you go. You see how I don't know right away. I only have this image of him saying these things. And until we work together as a team, you and I, we have that confirmed. And only until it confirms do I allow myself to move forward and hear more messages. You understand that?
Yes.
This bigness of him, largeness of him, and personality wise, I'm talking about now, he really wants to be that same way in the world of spirit. And I'm telling him, you can absolutely be that way. And he's questioning me. He's saying, but how does that affect everybody in the physical world? And I'm telling him there's a vibration, there's an expansion, and we feel that when we as human beings allow ourselves to expand into other dimensions, which is where you are right now, we can feel you. And we honor that you are allowing us and have that ability to vibrate into this dimension with us. Does that make sense, Jan?
Yes.
Would you say that during his physical time here, he didn't have an understanding of the afterlife? It wasn't like something he talked about, like I would talk about every single day. Does that make sense?
Yes, and maybe.
Because of the way he's questioning me, meaning, how do I do this? He had questions, and he still has those questions. Is that making more sense?
Yes. It wasn't something we talked about.
Got it. That would make perfect sense. So he gets there in the non-physical world and he's like, oh, this is cool, but how do I do this now? What's my jam here? How do I do this? Very, you see me, for my listeners, I'm moving my shoulders like I want to get comfortable here. What's the deal here? Here, meaning the afterlife in another alternate dimension, he's saying, I have the questions. And I want to keep going deeper into these questions. Do you understand what he's saying, Jan, that he wants this more spiritual aspect of himself now?
Yes.
I don't feel pain in my physical body, which is telling me either he doesn't want to go back there or there wasn't pain in his physical body. What took him from this physical world was something quicker than what anybody thought.
Yes.
Thank you. You see how he's just jumping back and forth. This is pretty typical.
Mm-hmm.
He's showing me the eye contact he had while he was crossing. Was someone there with him looking at his eyes? Not saying in the actual moment he crossed, but was there eye contact? Maybe he couldn't speak and he was speaking with his eyes.
No.
I still feel that. I feel that he's looking directly at me. And because he wasn't speaking, what I'm feeling was there no speaking. Is that correct?
Yes.
That he was looking, whatever was there with him, he was looking for that. Was he alone when he crossed, Jan?
I was there for the very last moment.
So there was no eye contact?
No.
Do you know before that? Remember I said it wasn't on the actual time he crossed, but was before that, was he nonverbal and he was using more?
He was sedated.
I keep going back to the eyes and I'm not getting an answer that is satisfying spirit right now.
Uh-huh.
Were his eyes open at any point?
No.
The only thing I can go with now is he was seeing. Do you understand?
Yes.
And if he were seeing, which also means he was hearing what was going on, even though he was sedated. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is this something that you questioned about that time, whether he was hearing or sensing you guys?
No.
Can you explain that a little bit? Meaning, no, you understood he was seeing and sensing?
I believed that he was hearing me.
Okay, so you see how this works. He is confirming that is exactly what was happening. You understand that now?
And I felt like he was already out of his body. And so, in a way, I felt like he could see me, but it wasn't direct eye contact in the physical.
I understand that. And sometimes the spiritual body will leave before the physical body crosses. I feel in this case, physical body there, yes, spiritual body not feeling any pain, only sensing love and wanting to express himself. And he, in his spiritual sense, he was doing that. He was looking right at you when you were there. Do you understand?
Yes.
But I'm seeing it from his bed. I'm not seeing it from a higher, meaning he wasn't floating. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
He was still there. And he's saying, I don't understand that. But he's saying he chose the no pain route. So I'm asking him, meaning something came to you and said, you can feel the physical pain, or you can ascend to a certain spot where you'll hover. And he said, that's what I chose. I chose the spiritual piece of me just hanging out and not feeling the physical. But I still wanted to feel the people. I still wanted to feel the love. And he's like, I checked that box. And I'm saying to him, that's interesting because I never heard that before explained in that way, like he had a choice. I'm feeling his father. Was his father already gone in the non-physical world?
Yes.
His father was the one that came to him and said, here are your options, kid. You can do this or this. Very nonchalant, very cash. And I'm sorry, could you say his name one more time?
Thomas.
Was Thomas a loved one, a husband, a very close, a brother, something very close family?
Yes. My husband.
I feel also the closeness, not just husband, but I also felt like being close to my brother. Such a familiarity, such a sharing of closeness. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you agree that's what the two of you had.
Mm-hmm.
So the father, what's the father's name? He's pretty funny.
Well, they called him Seeley. His name was Clarence.
I like him. He's very matter of fact, the way he came to your husband, his son. And your husband at that time totally got it, totally saw the dad and said, oh, I get this. I get how this is going to work. And he gave up, not gave up, but gave into that. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of holding. And that was, I'm getting it now. That was the choice he made. I either stay and I fight this with all the pain, or I decide to move. And he chose, let's do this now. He was ready at that moment. Not saying he wasn't ready before or was ready before. At that moment, he was ready. Do you understand how he's conveying that and what that means?
Yes. Yes. And I also gave him permission.
Beautiful. 100% helps. He felt you touching him also. I'm feeling my arm, somebody's just rubbing my arm up and down. Does that make sense?
Yes.
He's telling me, yes, the verbal permission, but he said, when you touched me, I felt full permission. Do you understand that?
Yes. I wasn't allowed to touch him until he had actually taken his last breath.
Something about that. I'm just up and down, shivers in my body right now. Something about that he felt also. Mm. You have to understand that even though he had already crossed, he felt that also.
Yes.
I love that. Would you like to elaborate a little bit more?
I was not allowed in the hospital because of COVID. And that last day when we knew he was close and the hospital called me, the nurses said they were going to fight to see if they could get me in. And that was at 11 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't until nearly 7 at night that they were able to rush me in. And he was sedated and tubed. And I had him on video all day saying, they're trying to get me in, honey. Please, I know it's hard, but please try to hold on. And he held on until I was there. And the moment I touched him, he took his last breath. The doctor that was in the room and witnessed it with me about passed out from shock. He said, I've never in my life seen anything like this. You literally touched him and he passed. He was waiting for you. I knew that. I knew he was waiting. So then after I spent some time privately with him, and because I hadn't been able to be with him, I spent that time just touching him.
Let's everybody take a deep breath in and out with Jan. Wow. Jana, let me say I'm so sorry for your loss and that you had to go through that. I can't imagine that. My mother also crossed during that time, and none of us were able to see her. You understand everything he brought through me during this session is such a beautiful confirmation.
Yes.
Of what you did.
Yes.
Right down to that last, I felt my arm.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that I still question about that whole thing was because we were so close. It's like I still have in me, if only I could have been there, I maybe could have changed the outcome.
I hear that. And he'd like you to release that just as much as you released him. He's saying everything played out the way it was meant to. As difficult as it was, it played out just the way it was meant to. Mm-hmm. And he's also saying, I don't want you to hold on to that. I want you to continue to feel and hold my arm as if I were right there, because I am. I want you also to know that this whole ascension thing, like he's doing that movement again, my shoulders are moving. This whole ascension thing is wild. It's wild. It's something I never could have imagined. And if you could see me now, I know you feel me. If you could see me now, you would see my expansion. He's telling me, though, you feel my expansion when you let go of holding on to the physical process of life. You understand that, Jan?
Yes.
Those were words directly from him. And I can only feel you receiving it, but also knowing there's the peace, like you just said, that wishes it could have been, that wished you could have helped. And those two sides of all of us, when we lose a loved one, those two sides, feeling the expansion of that loved one in the afterlife, but then also wanting that physical or change, whatever we needed and wanted still, is one of the most challenging pieces of grief. Mm-hmm. You agree?
Yes, I agree.
And I know myself, because when my mom crossed, I was already doing this. And when my cat crossed, I was already doing this type of work. So I was aware of how every time I wanted them closer, and I should have said this to my mom, maybe if I was there, it wouldn't have happened. Every time I did that, it's like I couldn't see her expansion. And there's no good, bad, right, or wrong. It's an awareness only. And we grieve and we hold to this for as long as we have to. But now that you, Jan, through this session, have a better understanding of that, can you explain, because this is common, can you explain to our listeners how maybe you are going to process that going forward? Can you offer some advice?
Well, I've been on this journey for a little while now, and I have always believed in the afterlife. that has really taken a front seat in my life since Thomas's passing. I just desire to connect with him more and more. Along that path, to elevate your spirit, you have to work on all of your own internal stuff. So it's been quite a journey for me, not just with processing the grief, but with processing every single thing that has happened in my life that relates to loss, disappointment, self-esteem, all of that. All those things come up that you have to process. So it's been quite a challenging journey to seek to be able to have better and more communication with him. And along the way, I have to let go of, as we just shared, that deep thing inside me, which just mourns the fact that I couldn't be there for my husband physically. We couldn't communicate by phone. It all had to be internal. And thankfully, we had quite a bit of connection there to begin with. So I was quite confident that he heard me. The love like we share, you can't not want for more.
Absolutely.
I don't believe it has done anything but become stronger between us.
That was a beautiful way of putting together grief, love, expansion. And love is always that centerpiece. That was beautiful, Spirit. Love is always the centerpiece that pulls in everything around the table. And that's sounds like what you just said. You keep going back to that love connection that we all share with our loved ones, whether we were talking to them before, talking to them during, didn't have a relationship with them. There's still a love within all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what the world, the afterlife, all our loved ones on that side still here with us. That is the one thing that they stay grounded to, centered in. It's only love. One of the first things your husband said was he saw you. You see, I kept saying it, but I wasn't getting from you what he was expressing. Now, after you said that, I'm hearing more and more that that's what he was saying. He saw you, even though you weren't there. He was doing that also, what you were doing. He saw that. You understand that now, yes?
Yes. In fact, before he passed, I had a sense that he was with me already. As I would go outside and look at the moon, and when we dated long distance, because we had difficulty communicating that first year with each other, we had a date night thing every night that we would each go out and look at the moon. And then we would know at that certain time that we were for sure connected. So I did that when he was sick every night, and I could feel him with me.
I just had goosebumps again. I mean, that is exactly what he said. Now you have that. And you will always, remember he said, I will always be there, always around you. So I am so happy and so grateful that you chose to share your husband with us.
Thank you.
And know that he's always seeing you. You're always together. For me, doing what I do and understanding all of what you just said, I know I'm never alone.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, whew, deep breath in and out. I feel we all expanded on that one, Jan. Thank you again.
Thank you.
You're so very welcome. I'm here with Jan again. We did a little bit after the reading, and I'm finding it very interesting as she elaborates more about her husband. And I asked her if we could record another mini episode. Jan, so go ahead and talk about what we were just talking.
this is something I couldn't really elaborate on during the reading, that has to do with possible physical internal issues that could have been at play to cause the illness. My husband was always a happy, jovial person that lightened everyone's day. And about 4 months prior to him becoming ill and passing, we had made a month-long trip to the mainland to see family. And he had always been very close to his family. And through an unfortunate circumstance, he had a major falling out with his mother and his brother on that trip. And when we came back, he was significantly emotionally compromised. He basically came home with a broken heart.
Mm.
And that did not get resolved when we both became ill with COVID. And then he just took a horrific turn for the worse. He was not the one that was predicted to succumb to it. I was the one with the bad health problems. So I can't speak to any pre-existing issues that he had physically, but I was convinced that this broken heart that he had weakened him to the situation. And that was really difficult for me to explain that during the reading.
I've always known through my years and years of meditation, yoga, and my own journey, personal, emotional, and spiritual journey, that they all combine.
Mm-hmm.
And during the beginning of the reading, that's what I was conveying, right? That he had something inside emotionally, but also with spirit. He didn't have the need to go deeper, but I sensed that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you agreed, yes, there was something emotional, we move on. Your awareness of that, though, is for you, right? To deal with now and to interpret now, and helping all our listeners here to understand it's not always physical. Mm-hmm. Emotions can take you down just as well. I'm still so sorry for your loss, but I'm very content with the way you're processing it. It feels good to me.
Thank you. Now I'm left with, of course, I'm still going to be processing for a while, but now there's the added component of the relation with my in-laws that is very tainted, because I'm still very broken up about this situation and how it happened. It was just stupid.
Mm. And he didn't have that chance. But again, remember he said everything happened just the way it was meant to happen? Mm. We do have choice. And this was his. And now those in the non-physical world, all they have is love. And those of us here in this physical human existence still have to process what's left. Mm-hmm. That's ours, but it's not theirs, because they only have love. Mm-hmm. I think even that's a great statement that you take into your process with your in-laws, to say, still only love. Mm-hmm. Love. I saw nothing in my vision of your husband that talked about that. Mm-hmm. He just wanted to feel that love and make sure you felt it from him. Wow. Again, I'm grateful. Me too. Thank you. You have a beautiful awareness, an expansive awareness that all of this is all happening at the same time, that all of this is here for us to access, even the emotional pieces. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you obviously have that ability, because you are doing this right now with me. I just always want more. I find myself saying that every day about everything. Mm-hmm. And then I remind myself, everything I need is right here with me. Mm-hmm. And now you can include your husband. Yes, absolutely. You're going to help so many people listening here.
Mm.
They feel what you feel. They lost what you lost.
One of the things that I felt from the very beginning was that Thomas and I shared such a deep, amazing connection that I still have people calling me, telling me that they met us once briefly here or there, and we changed their lives. We either helped them to see that true love was possible and they could seek it, or if they were in a relationship, helped them to see that they were missing something
Mm-hmm.
and inspired them to work harder. Thomas was a great mentor and teacher and loved everyone. And I've had many people call and say, I was ready to end my life. And then I met Thomas and I felt the love that he had and the acceptance, and changed my mind.
Mm.
And that's a beautiful thing. So when he passed, I just really believed that it was my duty to continue to channel our love to the earth because it's so needed here. And I just felt like it was my, as we say here in Hawaii, Kuleana, which is responsibility, to continue on to do whatever I could to maintain that contact and develop it and enhance it, to help other people to understand that there is an afterlife and our loved ones are there. And as difficult it is for me on a daily basis, my faith, my connection wavers in and out. I still feel like there's something I'm compelled to try to help other people in this process. So I'm very grateful that I've made this contact with you, and perhaps this can help someone else.
The vibration, because that's what I was hearing while you were talking just then. It's all about the vibration that we put out. And you and your husband put that vibration out so that others can pick it up. And it sounds like you and I have a lot of the same goals, that even if we only see a person for 5 minutes, our vibration is like that. So that person, like you explained, picks it up and notices in themselves what they need in that moment. You give everyone permission to do that when your vibration goes out there. And your vibration goes out there whether you meet someone in person or not. And there are people out there picking up, before we even post this, they're picking up the vibration that you and I are exchanging right now. They don't know where it's coming from, but they're saying, wow, I just felt this overwhelming sense of love. And that's what we're doing here. I feel like it's just still circling. Everything that we talked about is still circling and creating this beautiful, I call it the oneness vibration, because we all are here. The afterlife is here. Our past life's here. And this is what it is all around us. And this is what creates goosebumps. And this is what creates that sense, oh, I feel my mother right here with me, because they are right here. And you explained it beautifully. I'm so grateful that you chose me.
This was just beautiful.
Even though you don't remember where you found me or how you heard about me. I always ask that question. And Jan was just like, I don't know, Facebook. I love that, because that's the vibe that I want to put out with this podcast and with my life.
Well, I think I mentioned to you, I've just been following crumbs, because I know in this journey that it's either spirit or it's Thomas that's pointing things out to me. Here, look at this. I see it and I go, oh, okay, I'm supposed to do something with that. So literally that's what happened when I came across your information, and I don't really remember where I picked up the trail.
You were on the trail. You just picked up another crumb. I love that. Thank you again, Jan, for sharing this added bonus.
Thank you, Donna.
I'd like to thank my guest today for allowing all of us to join in on their process, their journey. And I'd like to thank you for not only listening, but coming together in a oneness vibration. Thanks again. Would you like to be a guest on our podcast? We'd love to have you. Send an email to linkingpodcast@gmail.com. This is a free reading linking you to either a loved one in the afterlife or a piece of your soul's existence hanging out, waiting for your attention.